everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way, and this week we are continuing on with Christmas. So I'm going to show you how to put this little composition together. This little girl sitting on a stump in a snowy field. You can also change that out and make it a little boy if you want to. So super easy to do. This little girl actually comes in a set of 5, so we're going to use this one right here, but there's also a little set of boys, so you can easily switch this out and do a little boy version. We're also going to use this from the watercolor sitting places. We're going to use this log, and then the little bird, this one that's facing to the right, and this is the bird bath set. And then in the foliage set 3, so in this one we're going to use this tiny little little foliage, little branch. And then in the branches set, this little spindly one right here. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start out by stamping her. And if you'll notice, let me show you in the picture, this little girl, you can see that she's got short sleeves on, she doesn't have a hat on, so we're going to modify her, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And it's not scary, it's not intimidating, and you'd be surprised how easy these things are. And that's why these stamps are so versatile, is because they're really, really easy to change. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so let's start out by stamping her. And we are going to ink her up. We're going to use sepia. So we're going to ink the whole thing. And then I'm just going to take a little pencil eraser and take away this line where her sleeve is. So I'm just going to kind of erase that. And then actually on the top of her head, we're going to remove some of this too. So you can take your thumb, you know, this is usually how I do it. Just take my thumb and just rub that off. And we're going to stamp her right into the middle of the paper. And again, not too hard, just simple, even pressure, just like that. And that's exactly what we want. So now we're going to take the fine tip of the sepia, and we're just going to make her a little hat. So don't be intimidated by this. We're just going to make a little sort of a U shape, so a little half circle. So down like that, and then we're going to come back up and make just a little little knob where the hat is, and then just a little pom-pom in the back. Super, super easy. This is not hard at all. And then just kind of connect these lines where we took that little sleeve out, and we are ready to go on to the next step. And we're going to add some color now. But first we're going to pull the color out of the lines. So we need to do this first. So we're going to kind of take our brush, and this is a tiny, tiny little image. So very carefully drag this color out. Including on this little hat here that we just created. And just pull this color out. Super easy. Okay, so now let's add some color to this. So we're going to add some red. This is number 89 Persimmon. And I'm just going to get my brush wet and then pick up a little of this color. And we're going to start by adding it to the hat. You can see she's kind of looking off this way, so this is kind of where the highlight would be. So darker over here behind. And we want to see that highlight on the top of the hat. It's really, really important. The same with this little pom-pom back here. And then go ahead and brush it into her little sweater. Stay in each section. And the top of her shoulder, we want to see that highlight on there as well. So take your time with this. You know, these projects are meant to be quick and easy, but you know, you can take your time. You don't have to finish it in 2 minutes. You could finish it in 5 minutes. And then go back over it again. So we're going to make another pass. And the more times that you go over it, the darker it's going to get. Just keep going back over it. Okay, that looks good. So let's add some more color now to the palette. This is the number 17 steel blue, and then I'm going to add a little Prussian blue to it too. And just kind of mix those two colors up. When you are finished with the red, make sure you really clean out your brush, because that red will really stay in there. So I'm going to mix these two colors up, and I'm going to brush some of this color now onto her little overalls. And the same thing again, you're going to make a pass, you know, every time you make a pass, let it dry, and then it's going to get a little darker each time. So while that's drying, let's add a little color to her face, and just use a flesh tone, whichever flesh tone that you want to use. I have different ones that I use. This is sort of a pale peach, but honestly, you don't need very much. Just a tiny little bit of this color. Just a little bit right on the cheek and on the back of the neck. And the more times that you go over that, the darker the skin will be. So you can easily darken the skin. And then add a little pink, just a tiny bit to the cheek. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we're gonna go back over her little overalls again, and add a little more color. And then let's add a little more color into her hair. So this is sepia. And I'm just going to add a little darker color in here. Okay, so let's go on to the next step, and we're going to set her on the little stump. So we're going to mask her off first, and I've just cut a little mask from a piece of Post-it tape. So I'm going to cover her up like that, and then I'm going to use my positioner to stamp this log. So I'll just place it inside my shield like this, and then ink my stump. And I'm going to use sepia and African violet. So 2 colors. Ink this in the African violet first, and then sepia right on the top. And I'm going to stamp it onto my little shield. So just like that. And we're going to place it right underneath her like this, but I'm going to take this little corner off because I want to pile the snow on here and on this side. So I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that line. So I'm going to place this back here, and I'm just going to take my thumb and just kind of take this corner off. And I can just huff on it. I don't need to re-ink it. And just carefully stamp it in there like that. Okay, so we've got her sitting on the little stump, and we're gonna add the snow now to it. And we're gonna do that using the fine tip now of the African violet. And we're just gonna make a little half circle. And then we're gonna kind of pull this color up from the top. And then pull it down from underneath. And then pull this color out of the lines. And we're just going to kind of set this log in the snow just by pulling this color out. Okay, that looks pretty good. We've got her sitting on the log. We can come back in if you see that you've lost any details. You can come back in here and put them back in. So use your fine tip. I do this a lot. Sometimes I get my brush really wet and it can kind of wash out some of the details. So I do this a lot. And just go back in. Okay, that looks good. So let's go ahead to the next step, and that's to add in our little bird on the top. So we're going to use the positioner again and make sure that we are getting this little guy in the right place. So we'll take the little L bar again and place that in here. And we're going to ink this guy in the sepia. Place that back in the corner. And then we can place him right here. And maybe turn him a little bit so he's looking right up at her. And that looks good. So dip your brush again, and we're gonna pull some of this color out. So this again, it's a really, really tiny little image. So it doesn't take much to pull this color out. And I'm gonna add some color now from my palette. So the same blue. This is that steel blue. And I'm just adding a little tiny bit of this blue onto this little bird. And I'm gonna go back in here now as soon as that's dry and really darken the eye, because we wanna really be sure to see the eye on this little bird and his beak. And I think I'll put just a little more color in here. That looks good. Okay, so we're gonna add some foliage back in here. It's kind of some dead branches. We're gonna use the little branch from the branch set, and I'm just gonna ink that in the sepia. And I really I want it to look like it's kind of buried in the snow. So I'm gonna take that tip, the bottom part off of it. And just kind of put it in there. You don't have to add any water to these. And you can kind of go back in here if you want to and just darken a few of these too, if they look like they're kind of light. But we kind of want that detailed image. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. And we're going to put in his beak. So in the original, I have a little holly branch in here with some little berries, so we can put that in. And I only used part of this. So here's that little foliage. You can freehand this too. So if you are confident, you can just put a little branch in here with a couple of the leaves. If you're not confident, you can use this little foliage. So basically what I'm using is just this little branch, this little offshoot right here. All the way down the stem. So we can just ink that and use our positioner, and we'll get it exactly where we want it. So I'm going to place this back in here, and I'm just going to take my green and just ink this part. And I'll just place it in here like that and turn it maybe like this. And we've got our little holly branch in there. And this one too, you don't really need to add any water to this either. And just add some little berries to it. Just really cute. I hope you can see that from so far away. Super tiny. Let's go ahead and put some sky in. And that will be with number 86. So we're just gonna brush in some of this African violet and create a really nice winter sky. Don't let it touch your sepia. So where you've got your branches or the red on her hat, don't let it touch any of that because it will just bleed out and create a muddy, kind of a muddy mess. So keep that contained and just brush it in like this. Okay, so now let's add the little eyelash. So with these little characters, we can direct the eye wherever we want it, just by the way that we place the eyelash. So we can see that she's looking down at the bird. So just take the small end of your sepia pen and just kind of make that eyelash right in line with that little bird. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to take my white pigment pen. I'm going to add some detail now to her little outfit. And I think I'll just put some little get my pen going here. You can add some snow also into the background with this pen. Kind of concentrate the snow where the color is the darkest so that you can see it. And add some sparkle to it. A little glitter would add so much. Something about glitter when you're doing snowy pictures. So, so cute. And that is about finished. We just need to sign and date. Try this project. You can do it. It's so, so easy, and I think it's really cute. So thank you so much for watching. Please come back again next week where we'll do another Christmas project. Follow me on Instagram, Bonnie Krebs Bible Journaling. Lots more videos and inspiration for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.